Okay, this is the Ask Andy show. I got David. He's from South Africa. He asked this question. Hello, I'm on the Ask Andy show. I've been to 90 countries and traveled non-stop worldwide for 16 plus years and continuing. I'm in Vilcabamba, Ecuador, and I answer questions about the global situation. Okay, hi Andy. I've read, watched your blog for 8 or 10 years now. Thanks for all the years of food for thought. In addition to this morning's advice for 20-year-olds, what advice would you give a typical 35-year-old with a boring office and that thinks he has more potential to live a life and thinks he has the potential to live a life more interesting? How would you make a transition given your experience? Can you provide practical examples, real life anecdotes? Thanks and regards from South Africa. Okay, I answered a question a few days ago about what advice I would give myself if I was 20 years ago, and that's a few videos back. He's saying if you're a 35-year-old guy sitting in the cubicle, bored out of your brain, and you think, if you look on my Hobo Traveler, I got a little motto that I call it a life less normal, and normalcy is being part of the clan, part of the tribe, part of the group, the guys that walk. Always think about the guys with the ties. Man, what they have to do to walk around on an 80-degree day in the United States to be part of a culture. A life less normal doesn't mean, it really means a life worth living. Okay, and when I say a life worth living, something that when you get to age 75 you look back with no regrets. And if you're sitting in your office at bored at age 35, you got some regrets. You can't really label them and you can't get it because you're doing everything everybody else is doing, but you're just not being able to put your finger on it. Okay, my advice for you at age 35 is there are trappings. There are things that entrap you. It's the same thing as the 20-year-old I was warning you about. Of course, the wife is going to trap you, but it's a good trap. I'm not saying you shouldn't get married. That's what I'm saying is that she has to be on the same page as you. So if you want to live an exploratory life where you get to see something new all the time, you have to, the best way to do it would be to I remember going to Mexico on a trip when I was a real estate broker. It cost me $500 in phone calls for damage control from Mexico, calling back home to things. So go away for a one-week vacation, and as you're away, make a list of all the annoying things that had to happen. Was it the dog that was a problem? Was it the neighbors that was a problem? Was you worried about theft? Was you worried about the water pipes freezing? Was you worried about how to pay your bills? And then if you stay away 2 or 3 weeks, you'll instantly have a short list of all the things that you have to get rid of to travel. Bottom line is, if you go shopping more than 3 times a week, you have a kind of an addiction to buying. Okay, so anything that's a monthly payment, like a cell bill that you sign up on contract, housing payments, all these things you have to get rid of to have this wonderful life, and you got to rent month to month and things like that. So basically you have to do just like I do when I got my backpack. I got a backpack, and if I don't use the thing in 3 months, I throw it. Okay, if it's just sitting in my backpack for 3 months, I don't care what it is, I throw it. And you have to be able to stop hoarding. And you see hoarders as they buy stuff and they got this attic full of stuff. It's like somehow they're going to use it. If you haven't touched it in 3 years, it's not of value. So you just dump it. Just ditch it. You don't have to have a garage sale. You can put it in the trash barrel. And that's my advice, is go to, first thing is start getting used to getting rid of things. Instead of being conspicuous consumption, be a minimalist. That's what they call it. But that's the idea that you live on the minimum amount of things. So start dumping your stuff. and dump anybody that's not on the same channel as you, and start figuring out how to communicate and live your life with no monthly bills. And I can almost tell the people that can't travel is when they open their billfold and they got this just long, pile full of credit cards and all this stuff. It's just not possible. Your life is not lean. It's bulked out with a bunch of stuff that you believe you need. And trust me, you only really need like 2 ATM cards to travel. You don't need a passport. You don't need all that crap in your thing. And I always laugh. I see a lot of backpackers here with a lot of clothing on. The hippie dippies. I made a joke in Guatemala one time. I said anybody with more than 6 pieces of clothing on should be horsewhipped or something. I mean, you got to think about it. Our vanities. Our vanity goes is when you spend so much time working just to get dressed. Okay, so the guy puts on his suit, his tie, his shirt, his cufflinks, his stuff. It's the trappings of our culture. It's nothing to do with real life. It's what you really need. It's just what you want. So you got to separate your needs from your wants. I need books. I need to watch some movies. I need to call home once in a while, talk to some friends, and I need I don't need a car, which is interesting. But every time you get in the car, just take a day of your time and log in every time how much time you spend just in going places. You'll find that you might spend 2 or 3 hours a day just in the car, and that is no fun. But these are ways to do it. But if you want to get your brain to it, buy a round trip ticket to somewhere for a month. Just say you're in South Africa, just go to the next country, Zimbabwe over there. Spend 1 month over there and make a laundry list of everything you had to do it, and you'll have a list of to do to get rid of, right? It's not that easy. I know that we're all caught up in these things, and because everybody around us looks at us like we're silly. I'll give a story. I was in Angola, Indiana, and I was with my mother and father before my father died, and they were going to this Aldi store, and I went to this supermarket or something. I think I went to the pharmacy, and I said, I'll just walk down there and meet you. So I'm walking down the street, and of course in Indiana, when you're walking down the street, you know what they think? They think you're a bum. And I thought, Jesus, just like half a mile down the road. And even my parents were looking at me like, why are you walking? Why are you walking? And I said, hey, I need the exercise. I need a life less normal. I don't want to get in the car. I want to walk and I want to look around. I want time to just gawk at something. Hey, I'm going to show you a very cliche thing right now, and because I'll end this. This is when you have a life not so less normal. These guys down here are in complete uniform, I call it. These are uniforms of travelers. They come here with their vests, their things. This is a uniform. This makes them almost a perfect setup to be robbed. Okay? It's cliche. You put on the vest, you put on the traveler pants, you got the walking shoes. It's cliche. That is not a life less normal. That's a life very normal for a traveler. They get caught in the gear shop and they go buy the uniform. Be an introspection. Study the word introspection. What is introspection is. And then Descartes in this thing, I remember when I was at university, I studied, I was a philosophy major, and he had what they call a methodological doubt. And just ask yourself, do I need this or do I want this? And is this define who I am? Is putting on a tie, is that who you want to be? And so you just keep asking yourself, do I want to be this person? Like I sold real estate, I never once wore a tie. I refused. I said, I'm not going to do any job, self-employment, the value of being self-employed. I said, I got a lecture by the building commissioner as I came out of the Chamber of Commerce one time. And I was wearing shorts into this Chamber of Commerce thing with a bunch of commercial realtors, and everybody else had a suit on. He says, Andy, what's wrong with you? I said, those guys are cannibals. If I got a buyer, they're gonna do the deal. They don't care anything about me. They don't care. They're just money-hungry animals. And besides, I said, you guys look kind of silly. It's 88 degrees outside. Walking around in a zoot suit, it's pretty silly. I'm wearing shorts because it's hot, and I'm talking to a bunch of people I don't make money from. Okay, but they just don't have the introspection to qualify what they're doing. And I just dress natural. I dress the way I want to dress. When you become somebody else's life, that's not your life. So these pictures of these people dressed up in these uniforms, I'll show you again before I go, because I've just talked about it. They're living somebody else's life. Yeah, they got the vest on.
We